remember a couple of years ago, and I've shared this story, when I came back, I was in a country that was having some terrorist attacks. I was with another gentleman from the West. We were the only two men in that area from the West at the time. And we were doing everything they told us not to do, going out at night and doing all these things and visiting houses and doing things that they said don't do. And we got into this town, and they had just showed us the place that had been firebombed 3 days before and this, and I'm thinking, why am I even here? And it was about 6 years ago, before cell phones were omniscient, everywhere, omnipresent. Now you go anywhere in the world, your cell phone works. Back then, it came in and came out. I had no cell phone. So I couldn't call my wife. For 3 days, we hadn't had communication, and she knew where I was. She's reading the newspapers and seeing CNN on these kind of things, and they had just kidnapped 6 Westerners down in another town we were near. All these things were going on, and we get to a little rat trap of a motel, and I thought, okay, at least I'll be with my friend, and we can hunker up for the night. And then they said to us, single beds in the room, little teeny rooms. They said, you can't sleep in the same room. And I said, I'll sleep on the floor. They said, nope, we don't allow it. I don't know why. It was like the worst looking hotel I've ever been in. He gets in a room. They take me down. And it was one of those motels that was right on the road. Every door was on the road. You didn't walk into the building, your doors. So I go into the room, and then I realized I went to lock the door, and the lock was like one of those bathroom locks. Nothing would stop it. It was there just to stop the door from swinging open, but it would not stop. And I began to get afraid. I thought, I have been set up. My buddy has been set up. This is a setup. So we're there, and you know what happened? I couldn't tell you if it's 10 minutes or 2 hours, but I moved into the fetal position. I was so scared. And I'm there in the fetal position on this little teeny bed that was half size for me, and I'm sitting there thinking, what do I do when the knock comes? I didn't know what I was going to do. And then all of a sudden, the knock came. It came. And I didn't answer. I wasn't going to say anything. I'm there. And then again, louder. And I thought, the next knock is going to knock that door open. And it's the end. I thought, this is it. Only twice in my life have I thought I was going to die, and that was one of them. And I just sat there crippled in fear. And then came, Bill. And it was my friend. This is serious, though. He said, your wife is worried about you. And I could barely speak, and I said, I'm worried about me too. And I let him in, and he said, your wife called my office. He's from Virginia. They somehow got through to me. The cell phone worked. I said, I've been trying to call home for 3 days. It's not working. He said, let's try. We called home. It's his cell phone. Greg answered the phone. Greg answers the phone. I said, son, I'm okay. He goes, I know you're okay. God's protecting you. That's, an 18-year-old boy saying that. I'm in the fetal position. Elizabeth had just left. It was afternoon here, nighttime, late in the night there. And I said, where's Mom? She said, she just left. She's worried about you. I said, get her on the cell phone. Do not hang up. Got her on the cell phone. I said, switch the phones upside down. And we went like this. I said, honey, I'm okay. And we prayed, and she got relief. I got relief. And the phone went dead. And I did not speak to her again till I got back to London days later, because I didn't have cell phone service. What is the point of that? The point is, there is times when fear grips you. You just got to realize it grips you. This man is in front of the king, and he is gripped by fear, and he even admits it. And here Nehemiah is one of the great men of the Old Testament, and he shouldn't have fear. He goes up against, and we'll find out later, goes up against all these people, but he was afraid. And what did he do when he was afraid? Then I was afraid, much afraid. Don't even say I was afraid. I was much afraid. And then it goes on, and it says he prayed. Now here's the interesting thing. He prayed. We do not know what he said. Why? It's one of the few times in the Bible of a silent prayer. Most prayers in the Bible are stated, or an abbreviated part of it is stated. Not the whole prayer, like in chapter 1. That wasn't the whole prayer. It was a prayer and just all the parts of the prayer, but he prayed day and night, so it's not the whole prayer. But here, nothing is said except, "So I prayed," verse 4. When the king said, "What are you requesting?" "So I prayed to the God of heaven." And let me tell you, you can pray quick prayers to God. If you are struggling, if you are in need, and it was interesting, I was so crippled in my instance that I couldn't even get the words out. Even in my mind, silently. I'm just saying, this is it, this is it, this is it. It was after God calmed me down that I opened his word, I started reading it and understanding and praying to him that I got over my fear. But Nehemiah prayed. Now, how can you pray quickly to God? What is the right way to pray quickly to God? There is a right way and a wrong way. You must know this. The right way is to pray to the God to whom you always pray. The wrong way is to pray quickly to the God to whom you never pray.